Welcome to About Mansfield. It's your audio newspaper. I'm Steve Casillo, broadcasting from the Somark studio, along with the About Mansfield news team, Colleen Daniel. She's out there in Studio West. This is the July 16th, 2025, 280th edition. Coming up, it's Mansfield News, Talk, and Information.
And a little later in the episode, you will have a chance to win a $25 gift card to a Mansfield restaurant of your choice with our Mansfield Trivia Question, courtesy of Joe Jenkins Insurance.
Let's take a look at the stories we're covering this week. 2 global headquarters choose Mansfield for their new homes.
Mansfield grandmother still missing after deadly floods.
Mansfield High alum raises over $400,000 for flood relief efforts.
Mansfield ISD approves $11 million deficit budget.
And in sports, Legacy High Junior named to Underclass Softball All-America team.
And in the talk segment, Steve goes lights out with Texas Rangers Hall of Fame broadcaster Eric Nadel. We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. This is About Mansfield.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool Hand, Cool Hand, Cool Hand, where excellence is still cool.
This summer, be the super parent of the season with the Hawaiian Falls Staycation Splash Pass. For just $49.99, get unlimited visits to your home park all summer long. Skip the hassle of travel. It's time for heart-racing slides, relaxing lazy rivers, wave pool adventures, and unforgettable memories right in your own backyard. All of the fun, none of the fuss. Make this the summer they'll never forget with the Staycation Splash Pass from Hawaiian Falls. Get yours now at hfalls.com. That's hfalls.com.
Looking for a night out that's anything but ordinary? Step into Vault Seafood and Steakhouse, Mansfield's premier upscale dining experience. Savor perfectly aged steaks, fresh seafood, and handcrafted cocktails, all served in a stunning atmosphere. Want more? Enjoy private dining rooms and a cigar lounge for that extra touch of luxury. Vault delivers exceptional flavor in a one-of-a-kind atmosphere. Located at Matlock and Country Club, Vault Seafood and Steakhouse. Unforgettable nights. Unmatched taste.
Hi, I'm Dan Hunt, president and co-owner of FC Dallas and North Texas SC, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield. This portion of the news is brought to you by Vault Seafood and Steakhouse. The Mansfield City Council held a regularly scheduled meeting on Monday evening. The following opinions of those Michael Evans may not necessarily reflect those of the Mansfield City Council. Every other Tuesday, we say top of the morning, Mayor Michael Evans.
Top of the morning to you, my friend.
Let's just go ahead and, you know what? The City Council does a lot of fun things, but yes. Monday night was budget time. It's, you know, when it comes to parks and festivals and
love
things like
it.
this. But
love it.
Tell me about the budget.
You tell me. Now let me tell you about the budget. So you're right. We continued our season-long budget discussions as we work to build a fiscally responsible budget for 2025-2026. I can say this with a deep breath: we will deliver to the public, to the citizens of Mansfield, a balanced budget. Now that we're going to do. So I can tell you that much.
Okay. Is that breaking news?
No. It can be, you know, because there are cities in Texas who cannot say that. But we will definitely make sure that we have a balanced budget, and stay tuned for the rest. We'll have a budget workshop here this week, and we'll go to work on trying to lower the tax rate and do that kind of good stuff. We're still trying to make that happen. Sir.
Next on the agenda, tell me about the animal shelter.
Oh, you know what? To all of the animal lovers out there, City Council approved $691,000 in funding for the animal shelter and also for the service center expansion project. And in that regard, we look forward to bringing the animal shelter, Mansfield's furry friends. We want to make sure that they have the best shelter that they deserve. How about
Sure.
that?
Yes.
Right before they find their forever home. So we're excited about that.
This sounds really exciting as Mansfield continues to grow. You've got a couple of headquarters, not only headquarters, global headquarters coming to Mansfield.
Yes, we do. So we approved a economic development agreement with the ZA Group Inc. For the expansion of Klein Tools, and this would add about 400 new full-time employees over the next 10 years to the staff. They're going to staff a new 125,000 square foot Class A office space for their, listen to this, for their global research and development headquarters. I said it, global research and development headquarters, and 460,000 square feet of new warehouse space. And this is just a great partnership with the company that is rooted here in our own community. So we are excited about that. And of course, we know what they do. They bring to us value to our city. So we're excited about that. And here's another big one. We approved an economic incentive and performance agreement with a group called Stallion Labs, a land investment LLC. This will be the company's U.S. headquarters, period. U.S. headquarters, and will include executive offices, research and development, and advanced manufacturing within a 200 square feet building along State Highway 360, just south of the upcoming Stable Street Entertainment District. And this company will create 400 to 500 full-time jobs in Mansfield within 5 years with salaries in excess of $100,000. So these are the type investments that we look forward to being made right here in Mansfield. And these are the kind of companies we've been going after so that we can continue to grow our tax base, sir.
And here they come.
And here they come. The consent agendas, is that what you want to see how sexy they are?
Let's just segue right into the consent agenda.
All right. Well, here's one. Is a resolution to allow the city of Mansfield further time to review Encore Electric Delivery Company's request for a rate change. So we're going to have to eyeball that one, right?
Yeah.
And also
because they're not going down.
Oh gosh, no. But we're going to do the best we can to keep them as low as we can, really. Sure. Now, also, we rejected bids to restore and relocate the Mansfield Log Cabin, Dr. Cook Cabin, based on bids that we received, Steve. Staff learned that the amount of restoration and relocation work really required much more dollars than we anticipated. So we're going to try to find out, really explore ways to where we can do something more with the old Cook Cabin.
Okay.
Here's another one. City Council approved a request for a specific use permit to allow automotive repair garage with tire sales at Sun Auto on West Debbie Lane. Now, let me just say this. While this facility is already developed as an auto repair garage, this will allow the company to repair tires and things of that nature. And, I think that's, that's all the sexy stuff.
That was it. Adjourned at 6:05.
Yeah, we did. But one thing that we did do, and I'm going to ask all of our Mansfield residents and of course the listeners to this fine podcast to do, and that is to remember our neighbors in Central Texas that's been impacted by the floods, and you all have followed that very well. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, amen.
We held a moment of silence for them, and we know that this is going to be a long process, and I cannot express just the level of sadness that I believe that is felt throughout the city of Mansfield and throughout the state of Texas, really the country, for those lives that are lost and people who are yet to be recovered.
Well, Mansfield loves to give.
Yes.
And that has Mansfield residents have reached out and donated in ways that boggle the mind.
Yes.
And whether it was Hurricane Katrina, the explosion in West, or now the floods in Kerrville, Mansfieldians are stepping up, and that's very cool to watch.
You know what it is, and I know that we have teams that will actually be deploying from the city that will go to help Bethlehem, our church, where I serve, is a part of a network of helpers, one being, of course, First Methodist, at places like that. I'm just naming the two because they're part of the On Mission group. But, we need to band together and go to work to try to help some people who really are in hard times right now.
Amen. That, my friends, is what's called A Moment with the Mayor. We do this, again, every other week on the podcast. Michael Evans, go forth. Make it a great day. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
I will see you soon. Thank you, sir.
The search continues for Tiana Mabee, a Mansfield grandmother still missing after last week's devastating floods in Kerrville. Mabee, also known as Ty, was last seen around 5 a.m. on July 4th at the HTR campground when the Guadalupe River surged through the area following days of heavy rain. Her family says she vanished without a trace as floodwaters swept through cabins and campsites. News reports say that she and her boyfriend were separated on their way to their truck. Mabee's boyfriend clung to a tree for 5 hours before being rescued. State officials have confirmed more than 130 fatalities across the Hill Country, with over 160 people still unaccounted for, Ty Mabee among them. Rescue and recovery efforts were briefly paused due to more rain, but have since resumed. As of today, there is no official word on Mabee's whereabouts.
Meanwhile, Colleen, Texas musician and Mansfield High alum Josh Weathers raised more than $450,000, and they're still counting, for victims of recent deadly floods in Central Texas. The Fort Worth-based singer-songwriter organized a live stream benefit concert in Burleson on July 7th, drawing thousands of online attendees and support from across the state. Weathers quickly rallied fellow bandmates to create what he called one of the most moving nights of music and community he's ever seen. Proceeds from the event, along with online donations, are being distributed directly to affected families. As the live stream was happening, friends of Josh Weathers continued to text him, offering up new items to auction off, and the bidding got hot and heavy. Fellow musicians Red Shahan and Seth James offered to perform a private concert for the highest bidder. Weathers jumped in and says he'll join the concert. Adding to the event, caterer Big Rich from Beaumont pledged to cater the concert with jumbo shrimp and gumbo for up to 100 guests. That package alone went for $36,000, which was then matched by a second donor, doubling the total. The momentum continued with a 7-day luxury stay in Belize. That went for $10,000, also matched. A pair of autographed guitars signed by Post Malone, Jelly Roll, Co Wetzel, Lainey Wilson, Mark Colley, and members of the cast from Landman. That sold for a combined $12,000. After the fury of the auction and the streamed concert ended, Josh's wife, Katie, posted on social media that 3 new funeral contracts came in on Saturday, totaling $27,000. Along with $11,000 in cremations. Weathers says the goal is to provide quick, tangible support to those rebuilding their lives. The donation link remains active, and you can find it on our website, aboutmansfield.com. Click on the links tab, or you can text Hill Country, all one word, to 53555 to donate.
The Mansfield ISD School Board has approved the district's largest budget deficit in a decade, the result of adapting to recent changes in state funding laws. The shortfall totals approximately $11 million, reflecting both a decline in local property tax revenues and shifts in state funding formulas. The board emphasized that this deficit won't affect classroom instruction. They intend to maintain current staffing levels while drawing from reserves and delaying non-essential projects to bridge the gap. District leadership also noted that the state has tightened eligibility for certain local revenue streams and adjusted how funding is calculated per student, changes now being phased in statewide. To manage the budget imbalance, Mansfield ISD officials are accelerating cost-saving strategies, including postponing capital improvements and using one-time reserves rather than raising taxes or cutting teacher positions. Superintendent Dr. Kimberly Cantu reassured parents and stakeholders stakeholders that instructional programs are protected. She added that updating the funding model means the district may encounter similar shortfalls in the years ahead. The board plans to monitor the situation closely and reassess mid-year if revenue projections change.
Legacy High Junior named to Underclass softball All-American team, and we'll talk about it because sports is next.
This summer, be the super parent of the season with the Hawaiian Fall Staycation Splash Pass. For just $49.99, get unlimited visits to your home park all summer long. Skip the hassle of travel. It's time for heart-racing slides, relaxing lazy rivers, wave pool adventures, and unforgettable memories right in your own backyard. All of the fun, none of the fuss. Make this the summer they'll never forget with the Staycation Splash Pass from Hawaiian Falls. Get yours now at hfalls.com. That's hfalls.com.
Hungry for bold flavor and a good time? Head on over to El Primo's to enjoy sizzling fajitas and their signature blue margarita. Enjoy weekend live entertainment and let the kids run wild with an outdoor play area and arcade. Planning a party? Multiple private rooms are available, including the all-new Parrot's Nest to make your event a success. Food, fun, and flavor for the whole family at El Primo's. Visit elprimos.net and bring your appetite. Located at Matlock and Country Club. El Primo's, where the locals go.
In sports, Hope Gaudio is making national waves on the softball diamond. The rising Legacy High School junior, who goes by the name of Lily, has been named to the 2025 Max Preps High School Softball Underclass All-America team, a prestigious honor reserved for the top players in the country from the class of 2026 and beyond. Gaudio, who is of the class of 2027 and also wears number 1 on her jersey, earned the honors after a stellar sophomore season, hitting .696 with 18 home runs and 67 RBIs. She plays catcher, shortstop, and center field and has showed power at the plate and leadership behind it, helping drive the Lady Broncos' success this spring. Hope is one of a handful of Texas players named to the national list, reinforcing her reputation as a future NCAA star and possibly more. Keep your eye on Hope Lily Gaudio. Mansfield's next big name in softball may already be here. Elsewhere in sports, on the road in Houston, North Texas SC fell 3-0 to Houston Dynamo 2 Sunday in soccer action at SaberCats Stadium. Players from both teams wore black armbands to honor victims of the Central Texas floods. Of course, starting in March 2026, you can catch all North Texas SC home games right here in Mansfield at the still under construction Mansfield Stadium. And that, my friends, is a look at sports. If you have a comment about the show, the news, whatever's on your mind locally, the good, the bad, the ugly, you can reach us by voicemail at 817-435-2938. By the way, keep that number handy because if you would like to score a pair of tickets to see the Fleetwood Project's stage play Monsters, a midlife musical meltdown, give us a call and leave your name and email address on the voicemail. This is your last chance to score free tickets. Have you ever felt like your inner monsters are running the show? Maybe fear talks too much. Maybe apathy won't get off the couch. Maybe body won't stop commenting in the mirror. Or maybe mother is still living rent-free in your head. Monsters, a midlife musical meltdown, runs the evenings of July 18th, 19th, 25, and 26, and a matinee on the 27th at the Far Best Theater. That voicemail number again, 817-435-2938. Leave your name and your email address. This coming Sunday, July 20th, is National Ice Cream Day. It's the sweetest day of the summer. It's celebrated every third Sunday in July, and it was officially declared by President Ronald Reagan back in 1984 to honor one of America's favorite frozen treats. Whether you're a fan of classic vanilla or adventurous flavors like honey lavender, or perhaps Ronald Reagan's favorite, jelly bean, there's something for everyone. So this coming Sunday, grab a cone, a cup, or a sundae, and celebrate the cool joy of National Ice Cream Day.
Coming up after the break, we turn the page to the features section.
I'm Angel Biasatti, and as we celebrate our nation's independence, today's episode is dedicated to a special group of heroes on Methodist Mansfield News to Know.
In this week's Cocktail of the Week, we're whisking you away to the sun-drenched shores of southern France with an elegant taste of sophisticated coastal leisure.
We go one-on-one with a nonprofit president in 40 Under 40.
We are Mansfield's only source for news, talk, and information. I'm Colleen Daniel, and this is About Mansfield.
This portion of the news was brought to you by El Primo's, where the locals go.
Hey there, it's Luke from Cool Hand Electric. Are you tired of dealing with plugs or lights that just won't cooperate? Well, don't fret. Give us a call. Worried about power outages or surges damaging your precious electronics? We've got you covered. Whether it's a whole house generator or surge protection, our solution-oriented Cool Hands are ready to tailor the perfect option that suits your needs and budget. At Cool Hand Electric, excellence is still cool.
Cool hand, cool hand, cool hand, where excellence is still cool.
At Methodist Mansfield Medical Center, we've been caring for our home team for over 15 years. Today, you'll find award-winning physicians on the medical staff, advanced neurosurgery, a Level 3 trauma center, critical care for newborns, and comprehensive orthopedic care. Methodist Mansfield, delivering the care our friends, neighbors, and home team depend on. That's community, and why so many people trust Methodist.
Congratulations to Ryan Neff, who knew that the Mansfield ISD Center for the Performing Arts opened its doors for the first time in June 2012. When we come back, this week's trivia question. I'm Colleen Daniel, and this is About Mansfield.
Hi, this is Joe Jenkins with Joe Jenkins Farmers Insurance, specializing in auto, home, commercial, and life insurance. I was born and raised here in Mansfield, Texas. We're active in the community, and Mansfield's a town we really care about. Our office has over 30 years' experience in the insurance industry, and we're passionate about what we do and about customer service. For a free quote, please visit our website at joejenkinsinsurance.com or give us a call at 817-472-6058. Once again, that website is joejenkinsinsurance.com.
It is time right now for the highly coveted, wildly popular About Mansfield Trivia Question. If you are the first person to email the correct answer to trivia@aboutmansfield.com, you will receive a $25 gift card to a Mansfield restaurant of your choice. It's brought to you by Joe Jenkins Insurance, whether you're looking for homeowners, auto, commercial, or any other type of insurance. Joe has helped Mansfield area residents understand the insurance coverage that best fit their needs since 2010. You can find him on the internet at joejenkinsinsurance.com. Colleen, take us back in time.
Well, Steve, today's question takes us back to the 1800s. Charles A. Smith, also known as C.A. Smith, owned the first cotton gin in Mansfield. He also owned a storefront on Main Street, which still stands to this day. This week's question is, what business currently occupies the C.A. Smith building on Main Street in historic downtown Mansfield? Email your answer to trivia@aboutmansfield.com. Again, what business currently occupies the C.A. Smith building in historic downtown Mansfield? Here's a little hint. C.A. Smith and the current owner of the building share the same surname. Good luck, and thanks to Joe Jenkins Insurance for the gift card.
Hi, I'm Dr. Janine Huang with United Dermatology Associates, and you are listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to About Mansfield, your audio newspaper. Let's open up the features section. Angel Biasatti is here to pay homage to our nation's heroes in Methodist Mansfield News to Know. Angel?
Today's episode is dedicated to a special group of heroes, those who have worn the military uniforms of our nation and the scrubs of a healer. Here at Methodist Mansfield, we're proud to work alongside 62 military veterans who are nurses and physicians and team members who served our country with honor and now continue their mission by caring for others. We call them Methodist Mansfield's Patriots in Scrubs. From the front line of deployment to the front lines of patient care, their stories are different, but the core is the same. They have courage, service before self, and a deep sense of purpose. Many of our military veterans have brought the discipline, compassion, and resilience they've learned in the military into every hospital shift, helping us care for patients in their most vulnerable moments. Some served in combat zones. Others supported humanitarian missions. And now they serve right here in Mansfield in the operating rooms, patient rooms, food service, and emergency department, bringing that same grit, grace, and calm under pressure. Today, we honor their sacrifice, their service, and their continued calling to care. To our 62 patriots and scrubs at Methodist Mansfield Medical Center, thank you for defending our freedom and for choosing to heal. You're a living example of what it means to serve with heart, with skill, and with unwavering commitment. From all of us at Methodist Mansfield, thank you for your service. I'm Angel Biasatti, reporting for the About Mansfield podcast.
Shaken or stirred, you know it's going to be good as Brian Certain serves up a French taste of sophisticated leisure in this week's Cocktail of the Week. Brian.
Today, we're setting our sights on the French Riviera, that glamorous stretch of the Mediterranean coastline that's been drawing celebrities, artists, and sun-seekers for generations. Our cocktail this week is the Riviera Spritzer, a refined, refreshing cocktail that embodies the elegant simplicity of French coastal living. This spritzer combines dry French rosé wine, the unofficial beverage of the Côte d'Azur, and a bright citrus notes and aromatic Mediterranean herbs to create a drink that's simultaneously sophisticated and refreshing. It's perfect for channeling that Riviera lifestyle, whether you're lounging by the pool or hosting an elegant outdoor soiree. Well, let's explore what makes this cocktail special. First, we're going to take some French rosé wine. If you have to use American, certainly there are a lot of great choices, but the star of this cocktail is a dry, pale rosé from Provence, the heartland of the French rosé production. Look for wines with appellations like the Côte de Provence or Bandol. Brands like Whispering Angel, Miraval, or Chateau Minty are excellent choices, but any dry, pink, pale rosé will work beautifully. Avoid sweeter rosés as they will throw off the balance of this cocktail. The wine should have delicate notes of strawberry, watermelon, and citrus with crisp mineral finishes that evoke the Mediterranean terroir. Citrus, about 1 ounce per cocktail. A combination of grapefruit and lemon juice provides the beautiful brightness and acidity for this drink. The pink grapefruit adds a subtle bitterness and a beautiful color, while lemon brings sharp clarity. The citrus fruit grows abundantly in the Mediterranean climate of the French Riviera and are featured prominently in the region's cuisine. Next, we're going to need herbs. We're going to use a combination of herbs typical for the south of France. Lavender, bringing delicate floral notes. Thyme for earthy complexity. Rosemary contributes an aromatic pine-like quality. These herbs not only flavor our cocktail, but also evoke the fragrant landscape of Provence. This week, we're doing an herb-infused simple syrup, about a 1/2 ounce per cocktail. This is going to add a subtle sweetness to the herbal complexity. To prepare, as always, 1 cup of water, 1 cup of sugar. This time, we're adding 1 sprig of fresh rosemary, 2 sprigs of fresh thyme, and 1 tablespoon of dried culinary lavender into a saucepan. Bring to a simmer, stirring until the sugar dissolves, remove from heat, cover, and let steep for about 30 minutes to an hour. Strain through a double fine mesh sieve and cool completely and refrigerate until needed. Sparkling water, about 2 ounces per cocktail. A splash of crisp, unflavored sparkling water adds effervescence and lightens the cocktail, making it perfect for sipping on a warm day. Brands like Perrier or Bendote would be thematically appropriate. Then garnish options. A sprig of fresh herbs, lavender, thyme, rosemary, a twist of grapefruit or lemon peel, and a few seasonal berries would be perfect. And then ice. Lots of large, clear ice cubes are ideal as they melt slowly and dilute this delicate cocktail too quickly. For glassware, a large wine glass is a perfect vessel for this spritzer, allowing the aromas to concentrate at the top of the glass. And in the south of France, outdoor cafes often serve similar drinks in stem glasses to keep the contents cool while showcasing the beautiful blush color. Well, how do we make this beautiful cocktail? Well, we begin by preparing your herb-infused simple syrup that I gave before in advance, allowing it to cool completely and allow all the flavors to meld. Then fill a large wine glass with ice, add 4 ounces of a chilled dry French rosé, and then in a separate small mixing glass or shaker, combine 3/4 of an ounce of fresh grapefruit juice, 1/4 of an ounce of fresh lemon juice, and 1/2 ounce of your prepared herb-infused simple syrup. Stir briefly to integrate, and then slowly pour this mixture over the rosé and the ice. Then top with our 2 ounces of unflavored chilled sparkling water, and then adding it gently to preserve the effervescence. Then give the drink one gentle stir with a bar spoon to incorporate all the elements, stirring from the bottom to the top so you lose the least amount of carbonation. For the garnish, you can take a sprig of fresh herb. Lavender works beautifully. Slap it gently between your palms to release the essential oils and place it in the glass. Add a twist of grapefruit peel or lemon peel, expressing the oils over the surface of the cocktail before adding it to the glass. The Riviera Spritzer embodies this elegant simplicity that defines French coastal living. It's refined without being pretentious, refreshing without being simplistic. And whether you're dreaming of the glamour of Saint-Tropez or the artistic heritage of Nice, this cocktail brings a taste of the Côte d'Azur to your glass, inviting you to slow down, savor the moment, and embrace the art of leisurely enjoyment that the French do so well. As always, I'm open to hear your take and your input. You can reach me at brian@bourbongospel.com. And until next week, as Mark Twain's famously told for saying, too much of anything is bad, but too much whiskey is barely enough. Reporting for the About Mansfield podcast, I'm Brian Certain.
The Mansfield Business Alliance has released their 40 under 40 list recently. And on the list, these are executives, these are entrepreneurs, these are everyday people. And on the list, and in the studio to my right, that would be to your left, Winoka Lemons. Welcome to About Mansfield.
Hi, Steve.
What do you think? 40 under 40. You're one of the 40 elite, young, the leaders of tomorrow. What does this mean to you?
I'm thrilled to be a recipient of the award. I'm looking forward to connecting and cultivating relationships with those other 39 recipients, growing, learning all the things together.
I know you work in the insurance industry, and you're also the president of the Mansfield Business Alliance. I think it should also be noted that you had nothing to do with the voting.
Correct. There was a whole team, and they had a rubric and all that kind of stuff. It was completely separate from me.
But you were pulling double duty at the big gala, that you were an honoree, but you were also working?
Yes. That I'm used to having multiple hats. It's okay.
Good. Describe to the listeners and the viewers what you do for a living.
As you mentioned, I sell commercial insurance for Joe Jenkins Insurance Agency. First, I'm a mom and on the PTA board at her school, and then I'm the president for Mansfield Business Alliance. Juggling all the things.
You're making an impact.
I hope so.
You hope so.
Yeah.
At what point in your life did you feel that you were making an impact?
I guess as a kid, I always really jumped in to do whatever had to be done.
Sure.
So then as a parent, having to figure that all out, that's really interesting when you become a parent, especially to a little girl who also likes to jump in and do things her own way.
Nice.
But with Mansfield, really in the insurance industry, a big part of that for me was forming those relationships and helping those businesses, making sure they were covered, but then getting the word out about those businesses as well.
As a business executive, how do you maintain your work-life balance?
I don't know if I do. I mean, I have lots of calendars and planners, and everything's color coded to really try to keep things in alignment, but there's always something changing or something being added. And I'm grateful for like all the moms and the teachers at my kids' school that can help pick her up or keep her after school, or her going to events with me.
You're a juggler.
Yeah.
Which you have to be.
Yeah.
I've been an entrepreneur for 40 years, where you literally have to create your own hours. And the nice thing about being an entrepreneur is you get to pick and choose which 12 hours a day you want to work. And part of that is dropping the kids off at school. Part of the hours are picking your kids up from school, or finding someone to do that for you.
Yep.
Let's talk about influences. People who have helped you along the way to get you to where you are today.
Of course, Joe Jenkins. When I started working for him almost 7 years ago, I was a stay-at-home mom. I have a degree in exercise physiology and went to work for him in marketing. So it was a big transition there. Dr. Cantu has been great. Randall Kennedy. There's been lots of people in the community that have helped guide me, helped maybe give me some suggestions on what to work on and things like that.
Professional image.
Yes.
Okay. If you had, looking back, because you're young, but you're within the 40 under 40, which makes you young. Looking back, what advice would you give a younger Winoka from what you are now?
As we always talk about, and you've been great in helping me cultivate my voice and be a little bit more confident in public speaking or speaking on a mic, I would say do more of that. As a younger person, I took one speech class in school and was like, box checked, I'm done with that. And with exercise physiology, we would do exams on athletes and things and give a small report, nothing to large amount of people, not on a mic. So that's really something.
I do have to ask, and I probably should have started with this. I've never met a Winoka before meeting you. Tell me the background of your name.
My first name's actually Winoka Shante.
Winoka
Shante is my first name.
Okay.
I'm Native American. It means water baby.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's probably why you've never met another one.
And are you from the Mansfield area originally?
I'm from Arlington.
Okay.
So yeah, moved here 20 years ago.
Where do you see Winoka Shante in the next 5 years, the next 10 years?
I would still love to be the president for Mansfield Business Alliance. Still helping grow our community, making it a thriving place. 5 and 10 years, my daughter will be, getting into high school. So doing all those things that are required of a parent of a high schooler, which sounds kind of crazy. I'll definitely still be on PTA because being involved for me and knowing what's going on is really beneficial for her. And I know what high school can be like. So
because you were there just recently.
No, not really.
One of Mansfield's 40 under 40 Winoka. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And if people wanted more information about the Mansfield Business Alliance or the 40 under 40 group, is there some place where they can find more information?
Yes. MansfieldBusinessAlliance.org is our website with information about MBA. Also, our Facebook is a great place to get information. And then Mansfield40.com is where all that information is.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're back in 60 seconds with Steve's candlelight interview with Texas Rangers broadcaster Eric Nadel.
Imagine a city where innovation knows no bounds, where dreams take flight, and the future unfolds before your very eyes. Welcome to Mansfield, a beacon of growth and a testament to vision. In the heart of Mansfield, a remarkable transformation is underway. But it's not just about the physical landscape. It's about the spirit that drives us forward. A spirit of collaboration that bridges cultures, a spirit of entrepreneurship that fuels prosperity, and a spirit of community that binds us as one. Mansfield is more than just a place. It's a canvas where diversity paints the picture of progress. From art festivals that ignite creativity to tech hubs that redefine boundaries, this city celebrates every voice, every passion. Mansfield, where growth knows no limits and the vision is limitless. Brought to you by the unstoppable spirit of the Mansfield Economic Development Corporation.
Hi, I'm Megan Sutton, owner of Shane Boy's Craft Hawaiian Grinds, and you're listening to About Mansfield.
Welcome back to another segment of About Mansfield. I'm Steve Casillo as we make the transition from news to talk. And in the studio today, by the way, if it sounds a little different than what we are normally doing, it's because it's a little different than what we are normally doing. We are literally doing this interview by, I almost said candlelight. The power in the building has gone off. But the show must go on, so we're recording by iPhone. And my guest today, he is an author, he's a Spanish broadcaster, he's an animal advocate, he is a mental health champion, he is an award-winning broadcaster. He has been with the Texas Rangers since 1979. He is the voice, the radio voice of the Texas Rangers from 1995. Eric Nadel, welcome to About Mansfield.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Steve.
And have you ever done an interview with the lights out?
I think this is the most romantic one I've ever done.
I was going to say it feels very, the mood is here. We've only got, we've got the light coming in from the hallway and a little flashlight that my producer has. And so if you hear little background noises, because the hallway door is open so that we can actually see. But I digress. I had pointed out before we started recording that I have your whole life story here on 2 pages. And the fact that I can't read it is great, because that means we're just we're gonna wing it. Let's go all the way back. Brooklyn.
Yeah.
You were born in Brooklyn and became a Yankees fan.
Well, I was a Yankees fan for a while, only because we lost the Brooklyn Dodgers, and the Yankees were the only team we had. We actually, when we were Brooklyn Dodger fans before they moved, we disliked the Yankees because they regularly beat the Dodgers in the World Series in the 40s and the 50s. So
sure.
I was kind of taught to not like the Yankees by my mother. My father, however, was one of those rare people who liked both teams, liked the Yankees and the Dodgers. He thought it was fine because you had a team in each league. But when the Dodgers moved, all we had was the Yankees until the New York Mets came in. So we would go to a lot of Yankee games. And then when the Mets came in 1962, we abandoned the Yankees and became, hopeless. And
but that's quite a drive from Brooklyn to Yankee Stadium.
It took about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And on the train, it was about the same, 45 minutes to take the subway. And it was an adventure for me as a kid. I always really looked forward to it.
As a kid in Brooklyn, who were your Yankee heroes?
Well, back then it was Mantle and Yogi Berra.
Sure.
And then in 1961, when I was 10 years old, Roger Maris, broke the home run record. And we were all following that, intensely. I would go to sleep with the transistor radio under my pillow so I wouldn't miss a Maris at bat. And invariably I would fall asleep during the game. And I would wake up and somehow the radio was on top of the headboard where my parents, who supposedly didn't know that I was listening to the game under the pillow, had rescued the radio and put it up there, turned it off and put it up there.
At what age you became a baseball fan at an early age? Did you play any sports in baseball?
I played baseball up until freshman year in college.
Okay.
And even after that, I played in softball leagues for a really long time. Even when I moved to Dallas to broadcast hockey, I was playing in softball leagues until I started missing too many games, and that was the end of it.
And your preferred position was?
First base. I was a catcher in Little League, catcher for a few years. Then when we moved up to what we called Pony League or Babe Ruth League,
right,
and the bases went to 90 feet, that was the end of my catching career. I didn't have enough arm for that.
Well, you're a tall man, which makes first base seem natural.
Yeah, and a slow man, so the outfield was not a real good option for me. I played first and a little bit of third.
I had mentioned in the intro that you're an author. You wrote several books. The Day That Wilt Shot 100.
The Day Wilt scored 100, yeah.
Scored 100, which is a variety of stories, not only about Wilt Chamberlain and his amazing feat, but what made you write a book about basketball?
Well, it came out of the book that I had written about baseball with a guy named Craig Wright. I was doing a pregame show then for the Rangers called A Page from Baseball's Past. And it was basically a 2 to 3 minute segment where I just told a story. I told an anecdote. And we were on WBAP at the time.
Yeah.
And WBAP was also broadcasting the Dallas Mavericks games. And they were looking for pregame programming.
Uh-huh.
And so they came to me and asked, would you be willing to put together a show like that about basketball? We'll pay you for it, and we'll run it on the Dallas Mavericks broadcasts.
So this would be a sequel to The Man Who Stole First Base.
More or less, yeah, the basketball version of The Man Who Stole First Base. And I was very fortunate at that time. One of my best friends was one of the editors at Sports Illustrated. And he basically gave me a free pass into their library. So I was able to read all these newspaper clippings about basketball, going back to the 20s and the 30s and the origin of the NBA in the 40s and all of the betting scandals in college basketball in the 50s, and had just a wealth of information, to research so I could write this book and come up with about 100 different anecdotes. It's a lot easier to write that kind of book about baseball than it is about basketball. But it was really fun. It was very educational for me. I really enjoyed it, and it really gave me a better appreciation about, how basketball started and, how we got to the point where we were at when I wrote that back in the 80s, which is certainly not where basketball is now. Maybe a sequel's in order to that.
Do you have a favorite from the book, a favorite basketball story?
Well, the night Wilt scored 100, I think, is probably it. It's just an amazing feat. It was a game that was played in Hershey, Pennsylvania. The NBA was trying to grow its sport back then, so they played a lot of games at neutral sites.
Yeah.
And on a rare night where the New York Knicks were playing, Wilt was playing for the Philadelphia Warriors, I think at that time, a rare night in a random medium-sized city, he went and scored 100 points. And it's just something that's never even been approached by anybody else.
I haven't done much research on that game, but I would assume it was let's feed the ball to Wilt every play.
That's pretty much what it got to in the second half. Yeah, so when they realized he had a shot at it.
Were they? Oh, okay. So they did not go into that game going, Wilt's going to.
No, they didn't. But the Knicks did not have a real center at that time.
Right.
They were basically trying to guard Wilt with 6'8", 6'9" forwards. Which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
They also weren't very good at that time. Whoever it was guarding Wilt not only was too short, but also probably wasn't talented enough to play in the NBA at any kind of level.
You also wrote the Texas Rangers, the authorized history in 1997. Now that goes hand in hand with your being the Texas Rangers broadcaster on the radio side. But the other book that got my attention was Limerick.
Lim Eric.
Lim Eric. Oh, Lim Eric.
Yeah.
And so our crack research department came up with that you used to do limericks on the broadcast.
Yeah, it was a real bad year for the Rangers 5 or 6 years ago. And we were about a month into the season. The Rangers were already 8 or 9 games out of first place. And so I started trying to come up with what my former partner, Mark Holtz, used to call diversionary tactics.
How do you keep the listeners engaged?
Exactly. When the games don't mean that much anymore and people have kind of lost hope in the team. And one day we were given a commercial to read, is what it was. And there was a rhyme in it. And I kind of made a joke about it. And I said, some poet wrote this commercial for us to read. They might as well have just written it as a limerick. It would be a lot more entertaining.
Sure.
I've always been very good at writing limericks, going back to 7th grade when they first taught us about it. But my partner, Matt Hicks, said, well, why don't you write it as a limerick? And I went home that night and I rewrote the commercial as a limerick.
Awesome.
And everybody really liked it. And it just struck me, well, why don't I write a limerick every game? And I will read it late in the game, try and hold the audience till late in the game so they would hear today's limerick, which sometimes was about that day's game. Usually it was something about that day's game. Sometimes it was something else going on in baseball. And then we eventually expanded it to when the World Cup was going on. You know, I did one every day about what was going on in the World Cup.
Sure.
And at the end of the season, I had all these limericks. And a friend of mine said to me, you know, you should find an artist, a cartoonist, and put the limericks into a book and sell the book to make money for some charity. So I partnered with the Rangers Baseball Foundation, which does incredible work. And they supported the project. And I found an unbelievable artist in Dallas named Arthur James, Art. And
Arthur James, okay.
And he's a baseball fan and a baseball on the radio fan. And I gave him a few of the limericks I had written and said, well, give it a shot. And he came back with the most amazing caricatures of Nelson Cruz and a couple of other people. And I said, we've got this. Let's do it. So we put this book together and we sold several thousand copies and made a bunch of money for the foundation.
Isn't that great?
And amused a lot of people.
And so with that, the eighth inning limerick of the game was born.
It was born and it died that year, fortunately. I think it was 2014 we did. I'm not sure.
This is 2018.
2018. But
back when they weren't so good.
Right. The following year they were a lot better. And we didn't need the limericks anymore. Every now and then I'll mix in a limerick now once or twice a year. But for the most part, I'm retired from limerick writing. It's a blessing and a curse.
So you've written 4 books, I would assume, because you've got time off from October, be it the beginning or the end of October,
right,
to basically March. Is that when you're doing your writing? And
yeah, well, in this case, the limericks were already written. They were written during the season,
right?
So the work in the off season was putting the book together, the layout of the book, making sure that Art made all the deadlines for getting the drawings done, figuring out which limericks were going to go in the book, because we wound up with about 150 of them, and we were not going to put that many in the book. We also, late in the season, we solicited limericks from listeners. So we have an entire chapter in the book with about 30 limericks that were written by other media people, were written by listeners, random people who heard I was doing limericks.
And that actually conjures up the next question of, what does Eric Nadel do during the off season?
And now what I do is not write books, because I'm much too lazy now, and I value my free time, far too much.
Can I take a guess at what you do?
Yeah.
You go around the country looking for good music to listen to.
Well, that's number one.
And there you go.
That's number one on my list. I like to go to Colorado and go hiking. I like to travel. I go to Cuba every off season.
Oh, wow.
Usually make another trip somewhere. I've been taking a music cruise for a while. I go to a music festival in Destin, Florida every January. But you're right. Basically, the planning of the off season revolves mostly around concerts that I want to go to.
Your favorite band currently?
Lake Street Dive. They are head and shoulders above everybody else.
And what makes them head and shoulders above everybody else?
They have a unique sound that's like nobody else's. It's a rock / swing / jazz sound. And they have my favorite female vocalist. I don't like to say the best female vocalist because it's so subjective, but my favorite female vocalist, Rachel Price, is the front man for the band. And she's just absolutely unbelievable. I also have a special affinity because I discovered them by accident in 2010. They were opening a concert for the Punch Brothers. I had gone to see the Punch Brothers, Chris Thiele and his band, at the Bowery Ballroom in New York. And it just so happened that Lake Street Dive, which was a relatively new band at the time from Brooklyn, was opening the show. And I was just completely blown away. And I went and met them after the show, and I've been a fanboy and a Lake Street Dive groupie ever since. I've flown all over the country to see them every year since then. Yeah, it's Lake Street Dive. Yeah.
Okay. And speaking of music, that leads into your next, which is the birthday benefit. You've now done 15, 16.
13 of them.
13. And you've outgrown the Kessler.
We did. We moved to the Longhorn Ballroom this year, and
which is managed by the Kessler.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons I was willing to move. I wanted to be part of their 75th anniversary, which was this year. And we wanted to accommodate more sponsors. We had run out of room for sponsors at the Kessler. There's a limited number of tables and suites there.
Sure.
Whereas the Longhorn, it's, 3 times as many. We also wanted to allow more people to come because we'd been selling out the show really fast. The year before, when Rhett Miller was the headliner, we sold the show out in about a week. And all these people who wanted to go to the show, couldn't go. So we figured if we moved to the Longhorn, there'll be a much bigger opportunity for people to go.
Talk about what your birthday benefit benefits.
Yeah, it goes for a charity called the Grant Halliburton Foundation, which provides mental health programs and suicide prevention programs in area schools. They do incredible work. They have a fantastic track record of lowering the suicide rate in the school districts that they're present in. And by doing this concert, it helps them fund more of their programs. It helps them get into more schools. It helps them hire more staff. And, as someone who's had my own battles with mental health issues and my whole family has, it's very dear to my heart.
That was actually the next question, is that people usually gravitate to a particular charity or foundation because it's personal to them.
Right.
And so this is a personal.
It is. I've had those days in the past where you wake up and you wish you weren't alive.
Wow.
You're not quite ready to kill yourself, but you wish you hadn't woke up. It's a horrible feeling. And, anybody.
And that was during the 2023 season. You took most of that season off.
I took 2/3 of that season off, because I had fallen into depression, anxiety, insomnia was a big thing. I was taking a lot of medication, and the medication basically slowed my mind down so much that I didn't think that I could do an adequate job, at least by my standards. So until I could wean off the medication and clear my head, I didn't think it was fair to the fans for me to work the games.
The same year they went to the World Series.
And then I got really lucky, and I was ready to come back August 1st. I did 60 games, and then I did the whole postseason, and it was like a storybook ending for me.
Is that the first? That's not the first time you've covered a World Series.
No, we had the 2 that we lost,
right,
in 2010 and 2011, but. It's pretty different when you win, especially when you go back to 2011 and the excruciating way that the Rangers lost.
The fly ball into right field.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that.
That is my favorite limerick.
Do it.
My feelings about Cruz are complex. His homers soar several decks. He's kind and he's shy, but if he'd caught that fly, we wouldn't still have this complex.
Nice. Do you remember one of you talk about the oddities of the game, especially with your first book, The Man Who Stole First Base. There was a game that I attended where the Rangers won the game, and it was thanks to Nelson Cruz on a walk-off strikeout.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there in the stands. Nelson swings at strike 3. It's a pass ball. Nelson runs to first base. In the meantime, the guy comes in and scores, wins the game. It's the bottom of the 9th. I'm up there screaming at the top of my lungs, walk-off, strikeout, walk-off. People in the stands are looking at me like I'm crazy. Because how often does a walk-off strikeout? You've seen bunts to home runs to grand slams.
Right.
But to walk off on a strikeout.
That's Little League stuff. We had one in San Francisco this year that was similar to that. The ball was put in play, but just barely. And then the catcher threw the ball down the right field line.
Yeah.
And the batter wound up circling the bases. There was a play on him at third base. The throw to third got away and he scored. And, both my broadcast and the San Francisco broadcast referred to it the same way at the end of the play. You know, the Giants have won the game on a Little League home run.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You, again, my crack research department, founded the first dog park in Dallas.
Yeah, that actually was the first leash-free dog park anywhere in North Texas.
Wow.
The only leash-free dog parks at that time in the late 90s were in Austin. And my wife and I made a trip out to California to take our dog to the beach.
Sure.
We drove, as most people do, we drove our dog out to Carmel, California, where there was the first dog-friendly bed and breakfast. It was founded by Doris Day.
Okay.
And so we wanted to take our dog, Mookie, named after Mookie Wilson of the Mets. We wanted to take Mookie, who loved swimming. She was a lab. We wanted to take her to the beach, where they have a dog happy hour every day, where dogs are allowed off leash on the beach. We wanted to take Mookie to the dog happy hour, stay at Doris Day's, where they bring Mookie a biscuit every day on a china plate.
Oh my gosh.
And experience that. And along the way, we noticed that in all these cities that we stopped in, Albuquerque and Needles, California, and a couple of other places, they all had these leash-free dog parks. And I thought, why didn't Dallas have one? I got back to Dallas, and I called a friend of mine who was on the park board, and he said there's actually a citizens group that is working on that right now, and he hooked me up with them. And the big problem was there were two. They didn't have funding, and the Dallas leash laws prevented having a leash-free dog park.
The nice things about laws, though, is that they can be changed.
They can be changed. So I had to go and talk to the city council.
Yeah.
And so I did. I got dressed up. I put on a coat and tie, and I went and talked to the Dallas City Council, explained to them what leash-free dog parks were all about. Several of them could not believe that the dogs don't just all get into a pile and start fighting in a dog park. And, which they don't when they're off leash. They're not territorial the same way as they are when they're on leashes. But the big thing was coming up with the money. We had to build a fence. There's a lot of maintenance that's involved. And the city of Dallas basically said, if you can get the fence built, we'll do the rest.
Yeah.
The fence was about $30,000, as I recall. And, I was really lucky. It's good to know a guy. And I knew the guy who did the advertising for the Munster Milling Company, which made Munster dog food. And they're from Munster, Texas. And they were being very active in radio advertising at that time. In fact, they had Nolan Ryan as their spokesman. And I pitched them the idea of supplying the money for the fence. They would get signage in the dog park. And they went for it. And they paid for the whole thing.
Holy moly.
They paid for the whole thing, and the city lived up to its promise. And then the next year, I did a benefit concert to raise money for the lights at the dog park. And then once we had that, I kind of stepped away. And there was a citizens group that was working with the city on a regular basis, but, I really wasn't needed anymore. But, it was basically my coming up with the money from the Munster Dog Food Company that made that park a reality. That's the one at Mockingbird Point at the end of Mockingbird Lane where Mockingbird hits White Rock Lake.
It's still there.
Still there. And it's one of the most used parks per capita in the Dallas park system. And now there are Dallas dog parks all over the place.
Is it the Eric Nadel dog park? Or?
It's just called the Mockingbird Point Dog Park. Yeah, my name is nowhere to be seen. But when we opened it, Nolan Ryan threw out the first ball.
Oh, nice.
It was great. And about 100 dogs ran after it.
And it's going back to, it's good to know people.
Good to know people. Yeah, it was nice to ask Nolan if he could show up, and he did.
We are talking with Texas Rangers Hall of Fame broadcaster Eric Nadel, and find out what Eric's favorite ice cream is when you tune in next week here in the podcast. In the meantime, this is the place where you will hear the latest Mansfield news, talk, and information. Until then, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, engage, connect, amplify, elevate, celebrate, embrace. Love this podcast if you haven't already, so you never miss an episode. It's free and it's easy. Head on over to our website, aboutmansfield.com. Right there on the homepage, enter your email address. We will never, ever, ever, ever send you any spam. That is my personal promise to you.
About Mansfield is recorded at Podcast Mansfield Recording Studio. Hosts Steve Casillo and Colleen Daniel. Moment with the Mayor feature, Michael Evans. Methodist Mansfield News to Know, Angel Biasatti. Cultural Arts Calendar, Tim Roberts. Cocktail of the Week, Brian Certain. Post-production editing, mixing, and mastering, Steve Casillo and Andrew Miner.
This podcast is copyrighted by Podcast Mansfield Recording Studios, intended for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this podcast without prior written consent is strictly prohibited. We thank you all for listening on behalf of the entire news team. I'm Steve Casillo, and this is About Mansfield.